Tammy, where did you get that emoji? That's adorable. I'm right here. It's so nice to see everybody. So thank you for joining me on a little bit of an earlier Monday stream. It's so nice to see everybody. We have two stories to discuss, and then we're going to talk about how ridiculously slow it is. Oh, these emojis are so fun. I love them, Jico. That's a great choice. Millie found that one too. That one really strikes my fancy. That's nice too, Eric. Oh, look at all these fun emojis. Oh, how nice. And Jeremy, or Dream, thank you for using my emoji there. Oh, these are fun. I love them. Oh, we're having a good time. It's so nice to see everyone. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. So the way it's going to go, as always, is that we'll cover the first 3 stories of the day. Try to keep your comments based on what we're discussing, because don't worry, for the final 10 minutes of the stream, you can ask me anything that you would like. That cat in a box emoji, was that Schrodinger's cat? Senior Heck? That's hilarious. I love it. That's a very intellectual emoji. All right, so let's get started. Welcome, everybody. All right, so story number 1. Hold on. Boop. All righty. So it was reported late last week. Hey, Amal, I'm so glad you made the live stream today. So it was reported late last week that Michael Gandolfini was joining the cast of Daredevil Born Again for Disney Plus. If you're not familiar with Michael Gandolfini, he is the son of James Gandolfini, who, of course, so famously played Tony Soprano. We'll talk about his acting ability in a moment, but first let me catch you up to speed. So now, of course, Daredevil Born Again is going to be 18 episodes. Oh my gosh. Although it's so slow right now, I welcome 18 episodes of anything that's popular. I'm like, give it to me. So 18 episodes, and I hear that with all that time, you're going to have a lot of Daredevil characters showing up. All the Daredevil characters you could possibly want. And that Wilson Fisk, a.k.a. Kingpin, and Matt Murdock, a.k.a. Daredevil, are going to be co-leads. They better not be super short episodes, Bell trailers. Wouldn't that be hilarious if we all were like, oh, wow, 18 episodes, and they were all like sitcom length? I think we'd all just riot in the streets. You know, like PG-13 sitcom length things. We'd be like, what is the point of this? All right, so anyway, some people online were guessing that Michael Gandolfini would be playing Foggy, that he'd be taking over the role of Foggy. I hear that that's not the case, that he's actually going to be playing Wilson Fisk's son, aka Kingpin's son. Now, when I first heard that, I thought of his illegitimate son, who's currently taking over his empire in the comics, Butch. And so I thought that was kind of an interesting idea, but I like it even more because some people pointed out, and I agree, as the Dark Savior just said, he might be playing this guy, the Rose. What a great name. All right, so that is, this was from a period when I was not reading Daredevil comics. So this is Richard Fisk, and he is Wilson Fisk's son. He fakes his own death. His dad thinks he's dead, and he comes back as the Rose, which I guess is why he's hiding his face. I would be surprised if he hides his face on this show, but he could certainly stick a rose in his lapel, and it would be pretty freaking awesome. I mean, just think about it. Michael Gandolfini in a white suit with a rose. I kind of like what I'm seeing. Now, it will be the MCU version, of course. I'm kind of nervous about this all being the MCU version. I'm like, well, what's the Rose going to do? Because he's certainly not probably going to hold that knife. So I'm a little nervous. I agree with, Jico pointed out that he looks a little bit like Moon Knight, and as Caden clarified, Mr. Knight. Oh, Seb, I saw that you had a purchase. I have to send out the thank yous still. But Seb, I saw that you just got some, I can keep tabs on what people are purchasing. And so, Seb, I saw your name there. But yes, so, yeah, he should be wearing a Movie Math t-shirt, Mr. Rose. Come on, buddy. So anyway, I think it's not a bad idea. And what's Wilson Fisk going to do? If he's a co-lead, what's Wilson Fisk going to do for his half of the episodes? So I think dealing with a son is not a bad idea, especially one who has a very cool moniker, But why am I worried? Well, for a number of reasons. The primary one being, that's what they did to Hawkeye. I mean, that's what they did to Kingpin on the Hawkeye show. Did you see? I mean, that was just so horrendous. I mean, I know it's comics accurate based on a very popular cover for Spider-Man. But it looked horrible. They put a gold chain on him, and you're like, what the heck am I watching? Oh, thank you. Thank you, Kumar. Namaste to you as well. But yeah, it was bad. So I'm a little bit concerned as to what this show is going to be like. Then also, I watched The Many Saints of Newark, which starred Michael Gandolfini playing a younger version of Tony Soprano, of course, the role that his father originated. And I gotta tell you, he was not a great actor. He certainly wasn't James Gandolfini. Now, that of course is he's early on in his career. Maybe he's gonna get better. But I would think it would be a very big mistake for them to try and build on the Soprano brand and then end up sullying it. Because I'm late to the Sopranos party. I never saw The Sopranos when it aired, and I hadn't seen it until the pandemic, when you guys kept saying, Grace, do yourself a favor and watch The Sopranos. And I was on HBO Max. We're going to talk about Max in a second. And so I finally watched it, and somebody here said it's the greatest show of all time. Let me see if I can find that person who said that. Oh, Danny Sanjan said The Sopranos, the best show in history. I would maybe agree with that. I thought it was an absolutely incredible show, and I thought the ending of it, while controversial, was incredibly sophisticated. That's right, Keith. Madison did spoil The Sopranos. Maybe they knew they were going to do that, and that's why they included that there, which is pretty funny. Trisha says, Grace, why didn't they get the creators of the Netflix show to do it? I still remember that jail fight scene that kept going. That was just incredible. It was incredible. A lot of those people have moved on. You know, Marvel, as we know, doesn't like to spend a lot of money on behind the camera talent in particular. They would ask for more money because they had a success factor. And in fact, Daredevil has gone through a couple of showrunners actually itself. So there's not one person you can point to who was like, that's who made it great. So I think that's a little bit of the issue as well. Also, they need someone who's going to play in their potentially PG-13 sandbox. I'm very nervous about that. So I think if he can deliver Drew Goddard was very loosely involved in the first season only. Stephen DeKnight also was a big part of the first season, but they both left. So I think if Drew Goddard didn't leave, he was really not very highly involved. But, on season 2, I think was only medium. Season 3 was quite good. 1 and 3 were excellent. But yeah, I mean, Drew Goddard's great, but there's no way they're going to pay for Drew Goddard. And I don't think Drew Goddard would be able to work as well as in the MCU, quite frankly. There are certain restrictions to working in the MCU. We'll see what Bob Iger decides. Bob Chapek didn't care, but part of the problem with Bob Chapek is that he didn't do anything to protect the brand. Bob Iger works very hard to protect the brand. And, but I think it would be a very big mistake not to deliver what people are expecting. If you're not going to do Daredevil right, don't do it. That would be my advice to that. Like, if they don't bring back Foggy and Karen, I think that would be a huge mistake because those actors are available. And let me tell you, still quite inexpensive. So it would be, I think fans would be very upset. So let's see what they decide to do. But I think that this could either be really great or it could be really awful. And I think that Michael Gandolfini better be careful because he doesn't want to capitalize on his father's legacy to the point that he hurts his father's legacy. I think that would not enamor him to fans. If they were like, you're just trying to make money off of your dad's legacy instead of honoring it. So I think that he better be really careful about that. All right, so that's the first story. Chico says it could be Marvel's Andor. I don't think so, because here's the thing. That's an excellent concern, but here's why it's not going to be. From what I hear, this Daredevil show is going to be full of so many Easter eggs. It's insane. Just tons of Easter eggs. We're going to be able to probably talk about a new Daredevil character every week or every other week. So that's, I think, quite important. Tricia says, Grace, is the rumor about how Marvel is evaluating Phase 5 and going to prioritize? I haven't heard that rumor about quality over quantity. Let's see. They certainly don't seem to have slowed down with any of the projects that are coming out. Hey, Jennifer, it's always so nice to see you. But yeah, I think that for now, let's see. But I don't think it's going to be like Andor. I think it's going to have lots and lots of Easter eggs and have hopefully more action. I thought the Daredevil She-Hulk episode was delightful, especially his parts. I didn't agree with everything that they did with the character, but I still enjoyed it, and I thought it was way better than a lot of the rest of the show, so I feel pretty good about Daredevil. Nice to see you too, Mark. All right, so that's story number 1. All right, story number 2. Hold on. Boop. All right, this one is crazy. So, it looks like they have settled on a name for the combined service of Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers Discovery is going to combine HBO Max and Discovery Plus. And I broke this story. And I told you that HBO Max was going to go away. And David Zaslav came on the earnings call and he said, "Oh, no, it's not." And then he did it anyway. And everybody was like, "Oh, Grace, what?" And I was like, "I'm telling you, pay attention to what he does, not what he says." So HBO Max is effectively going away. It's being combined with Discovery Plus into a giant mega service. Trisha says if the Daredevil's like the She-Hulk episode, it's going to be horrible. I don't know about that, Trisha. I thought he was, let's see. All right, so let's bring up what everything, let's wait. Okay, all right, so they're still deciding. This isn't a done deal, but it looks like Max is the front runner. So the reasoning is they're like, well, why would you take off the HBO part of it? And their reasoning is that calling everything that's on this service dilutes the HBO brand, which is a prestige brand, which I think is kind of funny because it's kind of like admitting that a lot of the stuff that you're going to have on there is crap. It's like, whoa, 90 Day Fiancé is not a part of the HBO brand. So that's why they're taking that off of there, and they're going to have just all these different hubs on something called Max. Now, you might be like, okay, well, then why wouldn't you call it Warner Brothers Max or Warner Brothers Discovery Max or something like that, right? Well, it seemed, or Warner Max, as Barbie Minaj just said. Well, here's my guess. They didn't admit this, but you know how David Zaslav also said, I'm not trying to sell this company to anybody or Warner Brothers to anybody? I don't believe it. Because here's the thing. That's why they wouldn't brand it with Warner Brothers, because they're going to sell the Warner Brothers part and keep all the subscribers for themselves, because NBC, Comcast, Universal is the most likely to purchase this, and they already have Peacock. So they're just going to stick everything on their streaming service. So I think probably part of the deal is that Discovery would sell just the Warner Brothers part and then keep the Max service with all the subscribers on it. And they couldn't keep it. And I think it would be sticky from a legal situation if they said, but that has Warner Brothers' name on it, so I want it. Or they'd have to go through the rebranding yet again. And so they're like, well, we don't want to do that. I think that from a PR perspective, you can just see how PR feels about this. They're like, it's got the max amount of content. And you're like, what the heck is this? What is this, the 90s? You can just see the ad campaign now, though. Do you want max enjoyment and max options? And you're just like, what is that? So I really feel it seems more like a garbage pile. So here, let me show you what it's going to look like. There it is. Remember this? This is their own graphic. This is what they're using to sell this. All right, so hold on. Let me try and make it a little bigger so you can see it even better. Sorry. I'm just going to talk over this. All right, so these are the hubs that you're going to have. So HBO will no longer be the name of the service. It'll be a hub on a larger service. Just like what I told you it was going to be. Some people online are very gullible. Then there's Discovery will be a hub. CNN will have its own hub. So like when you log on, this is what you're going to see instead. Oh, it's horrible. Home gardening televisions, Cartoon Network, DC, Looney Tunes. And they're going to have stuff on there like Friends and Batman will be on the same service as Shark Week and 90 Day Fiancé and Property Brothers. And I just feel it's very, very bizarre. I don't know if they own Food Network. I don't think that they do. But wow, this isn't the homepage, but it's going to look like this. They haven't showed any of the interfaces yet. All right, so let me make this a little bit smaller again so I can talk to you. But I feel that streaming services do the best when they have a brand. Now, Netflix has a brand because they're like the Coke. They're the Coke of streaming. They started this. And Disney Plus has a very strong brand. And that might be one of the reasons that Bob Iger wants to protect it by making sure that Daredevil is family friendly, that families can sit down. I think Bob Iger could reasonably argue that there shouldn't be anything on Disney Plus that a family couldn't sit down and enjoy together, because that's the whole point of Disney. That's what Disney does. And it's like, well, then why did you go and buy Marvel and Star Wars? And he's like, because he bought them to appeal to boys. That's the whole reason that Bob Iger bought all those brands. It's because they found out they're having trouble attracting anyone young, except for younger boys, who I think were involuntarily dragged along to stuff. But they were very strong with families and girls, but they didn't have anything for boys. So that's why he bought Marvel and Star Wars. Alessio says, if I may, Grace, I don't think Iger necessarily fears a TV since he's focusing on building a better successor and saving Pixar. Alessio, I heard from my sources that Bob Iger is not sure if he wants to do a mature rating Daredevil. He's still deciding. Bob Chapek had signed off on it, but Bob Iger still has to think it over a little bit. It might be adult, but maybe not perhaps as adult as it might have been under Chapek. We'll see. There's degrees. There's varying degrees. Millie Jo says Max would be better with live TV of Warner Brothers Discovery channels. Well, let's see if they have. I mean, they're starting to experiment with live streaming on all the streaming services. Netflix, Disney Plus have had live events already. So they could maybe do that here. But I think that one of the benefits that HBO Max had was that HBO Max had an identity. Peacock, Paramount Plus. These are streaming services that look like this. And because of that, they haven't succeeded because they don't have an identity. You know, it's really just like, oh yeah, the show I like is on there, so I guess I should subscribe to it because I don't want to pay for cable. But I think that HBO Max had a brand feel to it. It felt like a home. It felt like, Warner Brothers doesn't seem to understand that they do have a brand. They do have a feel. It's edgy and adult. They've got DC. They've got Game of Thrones. They have all these great HBO shows. And it was a feeling. There was a feel to their channel. Even Harry Potter is like dark fantasy, right? So that also fit in there. And I think that that's part of the problem with this Max. Max seems more like Peacock and Paramount rather than Netflix and Disney Plus. And then David Zaslav might shoot back. Lewis Cook says, will they keep the TCM movies on this new service? Yes, they will. But they'll have to be, they're going to have so many ridiculous hubs on here. I don't know how they're going to initially divide it when you first enter. You're going to be like, oh, here's 20 hubs. Although, have you ever tried to navigate Paramount or Peacock? It's insane. You just basically go right to the search engine and look up what you're trying to find because it's so hard to navigate. They're all over the place. But yeah, I think that Chico says Dark Max. I think the reason that HBO Max had a really big problem was the price point. I think it was very expensive. But also, Wall Street has said that Disney Plus undervalued itself in order to corner the market. And that's one of the reasons Disney stock is struggling right now is that they feel that they charge way too little. And that's why they're bringing in an ad rate version at the current price. And then they're going to introduce an ad-free version, which is going to be more expensive. But who's going to be able to afford all these different streaming services at $15 a pop each month? I mean, that's insanity. It's going to become cable all over again. So I think that this is, we're heading for some dark days. But I think this rebrand is awful, but I think that it's probably not going to last for very long because I really do believe Discovery can start trying to sell Warner Brothers. Hey, Sharessa. They can start trying to sell Warner Brothers in 2024. So they have 1 year in 2023, and then in 2024 they can try and sell it. So let's see what happens. But I think that they're not going to spend all this money in branding something with a name. If they were serious about keeping Warner Brothers forever, for at least for a very long time, they would be branding it Warner Brothers. But they're not, and I think that's extremely telling. Stephen Turner says Disney Plus Overseas has things like Pam and Tommy, though. Yes, it does. It does. That's on the Star and Hulu thing. And I think that happened under Chapek. I don't know what Iger would decide to do. Logan says Disney needs to stop diluting more serious brands. They're trying to get anime, and I can't imagine censoring so much stuff to fit the Disney market. Yes, Disney has a very unique issue in that they have the most defined brand of anybody, but that also places restrictions on them. But that's fine. They make so much money, I don't see what they could possibly care. I think it seems like a fine trade-off to me. All right, so that's the second story of the day. All right, hold on. Story number 3. Boom, baby. My God, is it slow right now? I've been talking to some other people in the space about this, and we're just like, what the heck happened? All right, so this is unheard of for Hollywood. This is the holiday season. People are around, people are doing stuff. There is nothing to watch. Last year, we had Spider-Man No Way Home coming out, and we also had Hawkeye on Disney Plus. It was fantastic. It was a great time to be in the space. This month, oh my God. So Avatar 2 is coming out. I hope that that's popular. I don't have really high hopes. I mean, I'm nervous. I think that it might be one of those things people watch but nobody wants to talk about. Because what is there to talk about? How can I I'm going to try, but how am I going to make a video about what's going to be in Avatar 3? It's like there's no lore really to lean back on. Then as Caden pointed out, there is the Witcher Blood Origin, but I think they're about to find out how useless that brand is without Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill, I think, was a really big part of why anybody watched that. And I think without him, it's just another fantasy show. I mean, with all due respect to Michelle Yeoh, I wonder if that's going to hurt her Oscar campaign to show up in something like that, for Everything Everywhere All at Once. But I think nobody's really going to be watching it, so I think she should be pretty safe. So there's that, which is not good. Maybe it's the World Cup. Maybe you're right, Jander. Maybe the World Cup has ruined Christmas for all of us in terms of entertainment. But it's really, really a difficult situation. I think because there's nothing there, Glass Onion is going to fill that vacuum. And today, yesterday, Ryan Johnson revealed, after I did Movie Math, because I didn't include it, that he might talk Netflix into sending Glass Onion back to theaters once it hits Netflix. So you could either stream it at home or go see it in theaters, which seems, I don't know if the theaters would agree to that. Although they're so desperate for, I think, anything to be playing at the multiplex, they might agree, quite frankly. I mean, it's so bad right now, they'll be like, fine, I'll take it, I don't care. And then I think Puss in Boots might be quite big. I think Puss in Boots could be huge. Puss in Boots, I think, is going to be the big Christmas movie, if Universal were doing a better job advertising it. I wish Puss in Boots were doing a better job with this advertising, because that could be big. That could be really, really, really big. Now, we were supposed to have Aquaman 2, but Warner Brothers doesn't have enough money to release any more movies this year. They don't have enough money to advertise anything and to get out the distribution. So we lost that, because, usually we should have 2 big movies. Cade and I will review Puss in Boots and Pinocchio both this week. But, we're supposed to have at least 2 big movies in December, and instead we only have 1. Avatar 2. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And they pushed Aquaman 2 back an entire year to Christmas next year. I guess to some degree it's good, because both Avatar and Black Panther Wakanda Forever were very water-focused, and of course so is Aquaman. So I guess, it's good that it got the space, but I've never seen things this slow. Never. There's no major Netflix series. There's no major Disney Plus series. There's no major HBO Max series. There's no big movies except for one studio is putting out a big movie. That's it. And they didn't even have a big Thanksgiving animated movie at Disney that we could, it's not like we're sitting here talking Frozen 2 here. We got nothing. So it's like a really bleak space. And then CCXP, they blew all their trailers in one day. So if they had spaced that out, I could have done breakdowns of all the trailers, but instead it just became like this, it was like such a quick wave. They were like, trailers, woo, and then they disappeared. It was just horrible. It was just a really, really bad situation. If they had, we'll see if we still maybe get a Little Mermaid trailer. They've confirmed that Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse's trailer will come out December 13th, so I'm looking forward to that day. But it's just really, really rough. It's absolutely insanity. I've never seen it this bad at the holidays. I think they really messed up this year. It's just crazy. It's just really, really, it's just a very weird space. Maybe it is the World Cup. I don't recall the World Cup ever being, why is the World Cup this year during Christmas? Usually it's during the summer. Oh, it's in Qatar. That's interesting. Toon Dude 19 says, are you going to review the film slate for 2023? Yeah, I'm going to do a bunch of end of the year videos for sure. And thank goodness for that. We'll have those as well. But it's a little too early. I can't do those now. I haven't heard about James Gunn meeting with those directors, Devin. Let's see here. Argo says his Dark Materials season 3 starts tonight. Yeah, but nobody watches that show, Argo, except, respectfully, maybe you and a couple of other people, but there's just nothing to cover there. I'm glad that, I don't know. It's very controversial, I know, in that part of the world with the way some of their human rights situations. But, it really messed up the holiday season for everybody. The Avatar 2 embargo actually lifts on the 13th, the same day that the Spider-Man trailer comes out across the Spider-Verse. So, Logan, I don't know if Willow has good ratings. We got to find out. We got to find out what happens when we catch up to it on Nielsen. I don't see anybody talking about Willow. I mean, people might be watching it, but let's see. Let's see how it's doing on the Disney Plus, on their unqualified ratings thing. They keep moving lower and lower down on the interface. Oh, I got a new phone. I don't think I'm logged into Disney Plus on here yet. Darn it! Here, you can see my phone cover. Oh, I love it. Hey, Damani. I'll show you my other one. I got one for non-Christmas too, but I love it. I got this from Society 6 if you're interested in it. Let's see here. Boo, boo, boo. There it is. Am I logged in? Am I logged in? Am I logged in? Am I logged in? I am logged in. Oh my goodness. How I'm so happy. Let's see here. Devin says, I think Adam Driver and Amanda Seyfried would be a great Reed and Sue. They would be. They'd be amazing. Mason Gooding also make a great Johnny Storm. I love Mason Gooding. That's Cuba Gooding's Jr.'s son. I can't believe it. He's phenomenal. I'm a big fan. Jay King says, did you see Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio? I did, and I shall review it this week. All right, so what's trending? My family loves the Santa Clauses, but I just do not care for it. Let's see here. Trending. Okay, Bluey is trending number 1. No wonder he got a Macy's Parade balloon. Home Alone, The Santa Clauses, Home Alone 2, The Simpsons, Guardians of the Galaxy, and then there's Willow. At least it's in the top 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's number 7. So I think it's only doing medium. Steven says, what do you think about White Lotus? Give Aubrey but let's move on to the Ask Me Anything, okay? All right, so it's 2:18. You can ask me anything you'd like until 2:28. So Steven says, what do you think about White Lotus? Give Aubrey Plaza the Emmy nom. She has been so good. Her husband makes me so mad the way he treats her. I think the show's phenomenal. I thought that Jennifer Coolidge had some incredible lines this last episode. But boy, they really are bringing it down to the wire, man. I'm like, hey, there's anything... I thought some of the storylines might get wrapped up this week, but no. So next week we're doing our movie club watch along, and then White Lotus after that. I'm not going to do a watch along, but it's going to be quite the Sunday. Leros says, could you bring back Think About the Ink? Oh, that's so sweet of you, Leros. That's very nice of you to say. Maybe I'll talk about comics a little bit on the live streams. That's a good thing to do. I was really, as you can see, reaching for a third story today, and perhaps that could be a good idea for a third story sometimes. Sunny says, thoughts on Harry and Meghan's Netflix show? I do feel that they don't have any new material, and they've already gone over this with Oprah. I think that I don't know. It's tough. It seems a little vindictive to me, but, I certainly want Meghan Markle and Harry to be treated fairly. But I think the best comment I saw about it was, if they want just to be left alone, why would they make a documentary about it? So it's complex. Let's see what the ratings are. I'm not sure. I think medium, but it could be huge. If it's huge, then they can keep going. It's all about the ratings. All right, let's see here. Friendly Persuasion says top 4 William Holden movies. Let me look up William Holden. I mean, I know William Holden obviously quite well. I guess Sunset Boulevard off the top of my head for sure. Born Yesterday is actually also quite good. Let's see here. Jaden, John Watts left Fantastic Four a while ago. But I like your enthusiasm for the story. All right, let's see. Hold on. So definitely Sunset Boulevard. Definitely. The Bridge Over the River Kwai, for sure, is excellent. Let's see here. As I said, Born Yesterday is incredible. He's a really good actor. The Country Girl is a very famous movie, but I've never seen it. Okay, I didn't quite give you 4, but I think those are pretty good. He also has a famous cameo on I Love Lucy when she goes to Hollywood that is very funny. Tammy says, hey, Grace, do you think that Charlie Cox will have the same level of input into Daredevil as, say, Tom Hiddleston does with Loki? Tammy, that's a great question. I don't think so. I don't think that Charlie Cox wants to have that level of input. Charlie Cox seems a little bit more easygoing to me. Also, I think Charlie Cox is just so grateful to be there. But I think that Tom Hiddleston at this point knows that if he doesn't take control of his own narrative within the MCU, he's going to have a problem like he did for a few years there. So I think they're at different stages. Could I see Charlie Cox maybe eventually going to that place? Yes, but I think for this new series, he's just so happy that it's been brought back. I think that that's all he's going to focus. He's just going to focus, I think, on being a team player. Damani says, what are your thoughts on the Gen V trailer? If you haven't seen it, it's the spinoff for The Boys. I was a little nervous about it. I got really, really nervous that it might dilute the brand too much. And I would rather just wait for the next season of The Boys, to be honest with you. I got a little nervous. And I didn't think the trailer was particularly good. Kyle says, will Miley Cyrus reprise her role as Mainframe in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 with the rest of Stallone's Ravagers? I haven't heard anything about that, although the Ravagers, as I said, will be a part of the storyline. Carter James says, thank you for everything you do. My long-distance boyfriend and I spend most of our nights watching a movie and then watching all your coverage of it. Oh, Carter, that makes me feel so nice. I'm so glad to be a part of the time with you and your boyfriend. And kudos to both of you for making a long-distance relationship work. Those are tough. So if I can help at all, I'm very happy to hear that. Let's see here. World of Devon says, where'd that go? Grace, I feel like I made a Marvel movie. If I made a Marvel movie, I would choose Miley Cyrus as my villain. Are you a fan of hers? I love Miley Cyrus. I might watch her and Dolly Parton host New Year's Eve this year. She and Pete Davidson were fantastic last year. Cody says, does DC or Marvel have more characters and stories going on in the comics? Seems that Marvel has so much going on and DC is a little slimmer. They're both pretty bad in the comics right now. I think comic books are in a really bad place. That said, my stack is the biggest it's been in a while this week. If you super follow me, or now they call it subscribe on Twitter, you can see every week I post my stack. So a Gargoyles comic is coming out this week with all new stories. So that should be a lot of fun. Disney's Gargoyles. But I think that, I think DC Comics is actually a little bit better, to be honest with you. I don't buy very many Marvel comics. Writer Boy says, thoughts on Joy Sunday from Wednesday playing Storm. I think she did such a great job. I don't really want young X-Men, so that would be my only concern. I would like adult X-Men. Jason says, do you believe that the award season this year is strong or weaker? It's weaker, much weaker. Horrible award season. As I said yesterday on Movie Math, I think that the Oscars are going to have such bad ratings, it's going to be ridiculous. Snibbylink says, thanks so much for being our window into Hollywood. Oh, that's very sweet. I have so much fun every time. Oh, that makes me so happy, Snibbylink. Here's to 1 million subs in 2023. We'll see. But who cares about that? Your comment makes me extremely happy. The Dark Savior says, Grace, I'm so sorry, but I liked Wasp's haircut in the Ant-Man 3 trailer. I don't have a problem with it. That's okay. You should write that to Evangeline Lilly. She'd really, really appreciate it. Anyway, thank you for all the amazing work. My pleasure. I'm glad you made it, Randall. And then Daniel Crater says, the White Lotus feels like a big nothing burger with great acting and production while we wait to get to the who died mystery. Well, Daniel, I don't really know if you're trying to think about it on the multiple levels that it's working on. Like, for instance, somebody pointed out to me that they felt that this show was about how, romantic situations to a degree are all transactional, but in various ways. And I thought that was fascinating. So I think just it's not a murder mystery. It's more of like an exploration. Like if you watch the line that Jennifer Coolidge had this week, where she said, when I was a little girl, my mother would dress me up like a doll and I would just sit around and wait for someone to play with me. And she said, I feel I've carried that into my adult life. And I thought that was fascinating. I thought that was an excellent description, and also highlighting the problem with that world life viewpoint. That was brilliant writing to me. Jay King says, taking my nieces and nephews to see Puss in Boots opening weekend. They're big Shrek fans. I think I can do really well this holiday season. I think so. I think it could be the new Sing. I think it's going to be huge. World of Devon. Did I miss your super chat? Hold on. I think I got you, World of Devon. I did. Okay, hold on. Devin Bennett says, a friend of mine said Miley Cyrus is MCU Rogue. I don't know about that. Let's not get crazy. Danelle says, still no word on Invincible Season 2. That is crazy, Danelle. Where the heck is that? It must be taking a very long time for the animation. Let's see here. Mark says, why is Sylvester Stallone so angry about Creed 3? Sylvester Stallone, I think, has really serious money issues. It's just why he almost got divorced. And so he feels tremendous ownership of Rocky. And it's the only thing that he has that's still going. And he doesn't want anyone to benefit from it and make money off of it that he doesn't get a part of. And I feel like that's kind of ridiculous. And especially because he forgot to thank Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler when he won his Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actor for the first Creed, when Ryan Coogler, I mean, can you just imagine that? Ryan Coogler grew up watching the Rocky movies with his dad, loved them so much that he decided to reinvigorate the franchise and did it successfully to the point that it got Sylvester Stallone a Golden Globe, and Sylvester Stallone didn't thank him. Either forgot or chose not to. It was one of the worst things I ever saw. Okay, Matt Parkin says, Grace, do you read many novels? I feel you would truly enjoy the author Brandon Sanderson. I'd start with The Mistborn. I don't read books. I don't like long-form reading. It takes up too much of my time. And also, I'm somebody who wants to find out what happens, so I just lose myself in a book, and I become very antisocial. I don't do anything else but read the book, so I only read short-form content. I've asked for Christmas, I've asked for the new David Sedaris book, because I'm a big David Sedaris fan, and they're little short essays. World of Devon says, why doesn't Anna Faris get more work? I don't know, World of Devon. It's unfortunate. Bence, I did see the Last of Us trailer. I was going to do a reaction, but I just didn't have time. And especially I was influenced by the fact that no one seemed to care about the trailer. I'm nervous about that show. I'll probably cover it week to week because there's nothing going on in January. But I feel like there's no hook. There's nothing to latch on to. And it really just does seem, with all due respect to the fandom of the game, like a ripoff of The Walking Dead. It really just seems like a ripoff of The Walking Dead, even though it is based on a very popular video game. But I think to the layman, to the non-fan, that's what it looks like. Elia says, what should happen in Ant-Man 3 to move the story forward? Do we need to lose someone? Yeah, I think the cast is a little bit too big. I think for sure. I think for Ant-Man 3, they need to raise the stakes. It needs to stop seeming like such a small story. Paul says, have you seen The Whale? I have not seen The Whale. I'm not too interested in seeing it, to be honest with you. I heard someone describe it as body horror. And I just was like, I don't know. I mean, I'm a big Brendan Fraser fan. Oh, thank you, Liros. That's so generous of you. And I'm all for a Brendan Fraser comeback, but I don't really know if that means I need to sit through the movie. Dreams Comic says, with a lack of original content, do you ever see big brands opening up pitches to the public? They will never do that because they would have to give you you would sue for, it just will never happen. I can see where you're coming from, but the legality of it is just too much of a mess. Josh says, what holiday activities would you suggest in New York City? If you've seen it in the movies, you should do it in real life. Go to Rockefeller Center. Go to the different skating rinks. Go to, the holiday markets in Bryant Park and Columbus Circle. Go to Macy's and see Santa Claus. I worked at Macy's. I was an elf. It was fun until I quit because it was ruining my Christmas because people were awful to each other. I witnessed some bad stuff. I felt bad for people. Sean Turner says, Victoria Penn's ready for Rogue. I would like that. But I mean, let's just see. Oh, Daniel. Oh, my White Lotus comment? My pleasure. Yeah, I think that, I hope that helps. I hope that really helps you enjoy it more. ToonDude19 says, who will win next? Who will win in March? Shazam 2 or Dungeons & Dragons? I think it might be Dungeons & Dragons. I thought that trailer looked pretty good to me. Although I having watched, the, what's the name of that group? They trend all the time when they're doing their Dungeons & Dragons things. I'm a little Dungeons & Dragoned out already, which is funny that Dungeons & Dragons would come so late that it would not be able to capitalize on the trend. But Vox Machina, that's, I watched that series and I was like, it's pretty good. But Dungeons & Dragons just looks exactly like that. But I really like the cast, and I'm a big Chris Pine fan, so I think it could be good. Jonathan says, should they cover Harry and Meghan in The Crown? Nope, wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. I think they're too close to it. I think I think that they would need to have people of color come in and work on the scripts for that perspective. And I just, Peter Morgan would be nuts to try to address something that I think he just isn't going to have a full grasp of. I think that, people in the public space get a little upset sometimes, and they say anyone should be able to tell any story. And I feel to a degree that's true, but I think you should also not undervalue getting the perspective of somebody from a certain group, because there are things that you just can't imagine or just aren't privy to, and I think that should not be dismissed. I think that a good storyteller, if they're telling a story from something that's outside their purview, a good storyteller would want to go and search out those perspectives to better understand what they're doing. Like, for instance, I thought it was interesting. I thought that Mike White, he does a very good job, I think, particularly with his female characters and his gay characters, but I think he needs a little bit better perspective on straight men, because there are some types and things that I don't think he's getting just right. Tyler Rod says, hey, Grace, what do you think are the 3 best and worst rides at Disney World? Oh, my goodness. Oh, that's such a funny question. Oh, how can I choose? Okay, I'll say, like, for each park, what if I could only pick one ride to go on in each park? If I were in Animal Kingdom, I have to go on Flights of Passage. In fact, that's the only reason I would even go to Animal Kingdom. I'm not a fan of that park. At Magic Kingdom, Peter Pan. Got to go on Peter Pan. If you can only pick one ride, Peter Pan. Epcot, Soarin', which is very similar to the Avatar ride, but I love Soarin' at Epcot. I think that's an incredible ride. And then Hollywood Studios, it would have been the Great Movie Ride, but they ripped it out and gave instead that Mickey's Railroad, which I haven't been on yet because I haven't been to the park since the pandemic. But I guess Tower of Terror is also a really great ride. I also like Toy Story Mania. I love all the rides. I love Disney. I miss it so much. Stupid pandemic. Senior Heck says, Grace, I know you're a diversity fan. Any diverse X-Men characters you would want to see as a prevalent MCU character? I'm hoping for a good Sunspot. That would be great. I just want to see Storm done right. Cool Guy 567 says, tell us one of your Macy's Elf stories. Okay, I'll tell you the sad story. The sad Macy's Elf story was that I decided to work in puppet theater. And when I was working there, puppet theater was upstairs in the home section on the same floor as the holiday shop. So Santa was a floor below Santaland, but then if you wanted to go upstairs to the holiday lane and do the Christmas shopping, or if you want to see puppet theater, we were upstairs. And we were next to the rugs department. So there were a lot of rugs out there and stacked up kind of high. Am I over my time? Oh yeah, okay. So anyway, I'll tell you the story. So the puppet show was like every 45 minutes, I guess. Or maybe every hour. I don't know. All right, but it was not crazy. So a family comes up, and it's a family with a small young girl. I don't know if they had any other children because I was just focused on her. She was like 3 or 4. And they said, okay, we'd like to see the puppet show. And we said, we're sorry, sir, it just started. But there's another one at in an hour or so. And he turns to this little girl and he says, we missed it, let's go. And she's wailing, she starts crying, she throws herself on one of the rugs, buries her face in it, and she's just crying so hard. And we were like, sir, there's another one in an hour. You could go and look at Holiday Lane and then come back and get online and you'll be just fine. And he's like, nope, we don't have time. And I certainly am sympathetic to the stress of the holidays on parents. But I felt so awful for this little girl. It was really hard to witness. Also, this is the job where I learned you could not ask. And David Sedaris also was an elf at Santaland, and he tells very similar stories. But he also discovered you cannot ask a child what they want for Christmas because their parents feel that means it's guaranteed that they're going to have to give it to their child. And I discovered that the hard way after getting some dirty looks from parents after I said, what do you want for Christmas to their child? So you had to just be like, are you having a nice Christmas? Or did you go see Santa and stuff like that? But it was really sad, and I felt very bad for that little girl. Ijo says, have you seen Netflix's Troll? I have not, but I did see them advertise it. Steven says, if Aubrey Plaza, I think Aubrey Plaza would be a great addition to Wednesday. But she's already doing Agatha, Coven of Chaos. Let's see here. Ace says, loved your Black is King review. Beyonce is about to release another movie film. Will you watch it? Yes, I'd love to check that out. And then World of Devon says, Grace, I miss Andor. Also, did you see the new, what's FG? You're a puppeteer? That's awesome. Oh, thank you, Ryan. Ryan says, I hope you're having a great day. Really enjoyed your live reviews the other day. Will you do another roundup like that for the other Oscar contenders? You know, I might, but I gotta tell you, even grouped together as a threesome, nobody cared. You know, I mean, some of you really liked it though, so I'll try and do it again. But it wasn't a big video. Pastor Madeline, I don't think that was my first job. Danny says, hi, Grace. I absolutely love your work. Couldn't listen to most of the live stream because I'm at work, but I just wanted to say hi. Thanks, Danny. I think Echo Keith will appear in Daredevil Born Again. All right, I better get going. We had a very nice time. Leo, I did watch the Last of Us trailer. Somebody asked me that earlier in the stream, and I said it seemed a little bit too much like a ripoff of The Walking Dead, to be honest. And then Lero says, have you heard about the new animated Avatar? I have. When's that coming out? That'll give me something to cover. So, I mean, I'll take this stuff, man. Come on, let's go. All right, everybody. I had a wonderful, wonderful time. I hope you enjoyed my Macy's story. I didn't get to see too many of your comments there. But if you are in New York City, Macy's is really a wonderful experience, and it is a wonderful place. And I have to tell you, all the gentlemen who worked as Santa took their job very seriously. They had a room that was like just their special place. Like all the other elves had like a locker room, but the Santas had like a green room. And they were really kind people who took the jobs very seriously. And I saw them once putting on their makeup and they looked so cool, and they just were very nice people. So it's really definitely worth going to see. All right, there's no burrito. What are you talking about? Where's the burrito? Haunted Autumn, I like you. I'm glad you like the tumbleweed, but that's a tumbleweed and a cat on a keyboard. Do you think that's a cat on a burrito? Oh, it's Empty Road. I wish it were a burrito. That's delicious. All right, you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Bye-bye.